Hey Patreon! So this last week I've been trying to watch what I eat, which is always really exciting. And because I've been watching what I eat, all I can think about is food, which is how it works, right? So I thought this week I would talk about some of the best British foods or meals, sort of thing, and then the worst, of course. Because you know you guys have some weird food. We know that. So I've written them down so I couldn't forget. Let's start with the best. Best British food, not necessarily, I'm not sure. So some of the best British food, fish and chips. Yes. Canada does do fish and chips, obviously, like most of the world does fish and chips, but it is one of my favorites here, especially when you find a really good place that makes the batter really crispy. I don't even really care what kind of fish it is, to be honest. I'll just eat it. Next, steak and ale pie. Can I get an amen? Canada, at least Ontario, doesn't really do these types of pies, but they're wonderful. Steak and ale pie, steak and kidney pie, any kind of meat, gravy-ish type pie, yes. An English breakfast, of course, one of my favorite things. I personally love the ones you get some nice toast, bacon, fried eggs with the yolk is still runny, beans, sausage, hash brown. I have had black pudding before. It didn't really have much, I don't know, I can't really remember what it tastes like. I feel like it didn't have that much of a taste. I'm not sure, but that was fine. I don't really need the mushrooms. I don't really need the tomatoes. You guys can keep that. Just give me all the meat and the beans and all the rest of it. And the potato. Sunday roast. Sunday roast is really nice, but I don't really need it that often. I don't really like that some families do Sunday roast every week. It's like, we're having a Sunday roast whether you want it or not. Here's all this food. Eat up. For Canadians, a Sunday roast is equivalent to like Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter. It's a special meal we only have very sparingly, and it's a lot. But I do like a Sunday roast occasionally, like a couple times a year. And the best part of a Sunday roast, honestly, is the Yorkshire pudding. That's what I'm there for. The meat and the Yorkshire pudding. And the crispy potatoes, but they gotta be crispy. Bacon buddies. Who doesn't love a bacon buddy? It sounds weird when I say it, I realize. It's not something we do in Canada, but I love it. It's got two of my favorite things, bread and meat. How can you go wrong? Another one of the best British foods are scones. I do love a scone. I love a cream tea and a scone. Very rarely though. It's not something I have like every week or even every month. Maybe like once a year. But it is really nice, and of course you guys know I put the cream first and then I put the jam because the jam's like the least favorite part. You just want a little bit. You want more cream. Do you know what I'm saying? More cream, a little bit of jam, and a nice cream tea. I will definitely have that. Now in Canada, because we have such a big British influence, there are a fair amount of tea rooms that, I don't want to say pretend to be British, but kind of have that vibe of like a British tea room where you can get the stacked, you know those carrying things, carrying around with the little goodies on it? You can do that. There is one actually in my hometown, which is pretty small. And we have one, so it is fairly common, but definitely, obviously, not to the scale that it is here in the UK. So we get it a little bit, but not that much, and definitely a nice scone. Wonderful. I am so hungry right now, I want to die. Next, toad in the hole. Lovely, again, some of my favorite things, like a Yorkshire pudding batter and meat. Do you see a pattern here? And finally, beans on toast, although I prefer to also have cheese. So you like put it in the oven, you put cheese, get it crispy, and then you put your beans on top. But you have to eat it really quickly because I don't like it when it goes soggy. And I really only have beans on toast if I'm hungover or I'm too lazy to make an actual grilled cheese. Because to be honest, a real grilled cheese is better than beans on toast or just cheese on toast or whatever you guys call it. But sometimes I'm just too tired or angry or miserable to do a full grilled cheese, and I do a beans on toast. Lovely. Now, I have been fortunate to try a lot of different snacks that the UK has to offer, and you guys know some of my like loathed ones, definitely dandelion and burdock was disgusting. That weird shandy was gross. I'm sure real shandy's a lot better. There's been some gross sweets, just not really for me. Turkish Delight was another one. Just kind of not for me. But in terms of like worst British food, boiled veg. Now, I've never seen a country boil so many of its vegetables before. And that's one of the things that grosses me out when some people do the Sunday roast and they just boil all the veg so that it's like completely mushy when you eat it and like you can't even taste what it is. Why are you doing that? Another one you guys know, Marmite. I don't like Marmite. I've tried it a couple times. I've also tried the Twiglets, the little like snacks covered in Marmite. I don't like those either. The Marmite crisps were actually pretty decent. And I did finish off the bag of the multi-pack bag, but it kind of made me feel a little bit gross afterwards. So I might have rated them too highly. And I know a lot of people online say that I don't apply the Marmite properly, and that's why I don't like it. You didn't do it properly. It's like, I had a real English breathing human do it for me. And if they didn't do it properly, then I have no hope. Another thing I hate about British food is when you go to a pub and you get bad pub food. It's so disappointing. Pub food's not hard, okay? It's not difficult. The other day, I went to a pub and had lunch, and I swear to God, all my life, the burger that I had was from the microwave. It was so disappointing, and I hate that. I love going to a really nice old pub. You have a drink, you have some really like hearty pub food, maybe a burger, maybe fish and chips or whatever, and it's just like really cozy and wonderful. And there's something so disappointing about going to a pub and literally being given a microwaved burger. Gross. Another British food I hate, mushy peas. Why? Do you not have functioning teeth? That's another thing we don't really have in North America. If you get fish and chips, like one of my favorite like special meals, my dad and I will go out and get fish and chips. And mushy peas is not an option. If you want peas, they're garden peas. But they don't say garden peas, they just say peas because that's the only way you're gonna get them. And I just don't get the appeal. It's like the texture. Again, it's like the boiled veg where it's just like reduced to this paste. My teeth are perfectly fine to chew. I want to chew. Now, the last thing I could think of for the bad food in the UK, of course, I haven't tried haggis yet, which I really would like to, but I feel like that needs to be legitimate haggis as my first time, you know? So I don't want to add that to the list because I've never had it. And I didn't really want to add this to the list either, but it scares me a lot. Basically, I've seen this van around Kent, like lots of different places, that is selling jellied eels out of a van. Now, I've never had jelly eels, so I can't say that I wouldn't like them. I don't know, I've never had them, but there's something about getting such a weird food out of a really gross looking truck that just kind of makes my stomach turn a little bit. But those are some of the best British food that I've had so far, and some of the worst. Thankfully, you guys have a lot of good food. Thank God. The nice thing too about food here in the UK is you guys really like Indian food, which I've certainly gotten a taste for. We have it in Canada, obviously, but it's not to the level it is here in the UK. And when I was actually Googling like best British food or most popular British food, Chinese and Indian came up very high. So you guys like your Asian foods. But if you guys can think of anything specifically that I should try, it's kind of hard to do actual food. That's why the eat this videos tend to be junk food, because I can just kind of get it all together and sit and eat it. But I'm hoping to do a bit more cooking videos maybe in the future. So if you guys have an idea of a particular meal or a typical British food that you think I should try, definitely let me know, and I can tell you at least if I've had it or not. And then I might be able to cook it. We'll see. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for your support. You're wonderful people, and I appreciate it. And I'm so hungry now. All I can think about is fish and chips, but here I am. Anyway, I gotta get going. Okay, I hope you have a good weekend. Have a good week coming up. I'm sure we're gonna see the sun at some point. Okay, bye.